Today I'm going to show you a step-by-step process to work with nutrition and powerlifting clients. It is very smart to add in another service to your nutrition coaching, like a training aspect in a niche group like powerlifting. You're going to instantly become a more niche expert, which means you can charge more for your coaching. And you may not know this, but since I spent the last 15 years in the powerlifting world, I'm going to show you exactly how do I handle this with my dual powerlifting and nutrition clients. Plus, no one is showing you this stuff. I'm going to give you 3 client examples from clients that are in the thick of training for world level meets and even what coaching looks like the week of a big competition. Watch till the end of the video for that. So here we go. Okay, so the first thing you need to realize about adding powerlifting into your coaching program is that you're going to need to supply an actual training program, which you write and provide. This is a big part of the service. I'm going to write all of my clients' training programs on a separate Google sheet and put it in a Google Drive for them where they know everything is, their nutrition tracking sheet as well as their training program. There are so many good training apps out there, like my Strength Book for example, but I still like the simplicity of just taking a Google sheet, putting all the training in there and being able to quickly edit it. And my clients like it too. The one thing that my clients will know is exactly where they can find their training sheets and all of the information so they can quickly go and look at it before their workouts. And this is what it's gonna look like on their end. So check it out. So this is my client Shauna's Google folder here. You can see that she's got a tracking sheet, which you guys are familiar with, as well as this training sheet here. I've worked with her for nearly 5 years here, and as you can see, I've written up at the bottom 44 blocks of training for her. They're typically around a month long, although sometimes it's longer if it's going into a peak. Typically what I'm doing in a normal block though is writing 4 weeks of programming, and you can see that everything I have here is percentage based and based on her 1 rep maxes and that type of thing. But what I'm doing with the red text, especially in a week by week basis, is indicating what videos I want her to take of her training. She's going to take videos of these and she's also going to attach them to her weekly check-in where she does her nutrition check-in as well. And I'm going to review them at the same time that I do her nutrition check-in. This allows me to keep tabs on her nutrition, how things are looking, as well as her training and how things are going, and address things for her, powerlifting performance specifically. We do this on a weekly basis. You're going to hear a lot of coaches say that you need more frequent feedback with your athletes than that. If you're going to make any recommendations that are going to dramatically change the technique of your clients based on more frequent feedback, they probably, shouldn't be doing online training to begin with. This is probably best suited for someone that is an intermediate to advanced client, and then from there we can do things on a weekly basis. I take a look at her bench press, I take a look at her high bar squat, I take a look at her deadlift. I got 3 or 4 videos I'm going to come over that I'm going to do a voiceover review just like this. This is the exact system that we've used for over 5 years, and she's made tons of progress. The biggest thing being, here's what her training looks like. I attach it to a sheet, got some notes, and she's going to pass along those videos on a week by week basis. So I've worked with Shauna for a long time, over 5 years, and through that time she's put on 60 pounds on her squat, nearly 30 pounds on her bench press, and nearly 80 pounds on her deadlift. And this was all happened as a master's athlete, so she's around 50 years old, staying in the exact same weight class. She didn't gain a bunch of weight, although her body composition has completely changed. It's improved so much. And this all culminated in winning a bronze medal at this year's national championships. And that's a lot of progress being made in the approach that you're seeing right here. Not sure you knew this much about me, but I've been a powerlifting coach over the last 10 years and a powerlifter over the last 15 years. Even if I think back just over the last 5 years, a lot has changed with me in terms of my coaching and the stuff that I'm focusing on. We talk a lot in the Dr. Mark method about niching down and being more specific with who you work with in your nutrition coaching business. And for me, that was going to be working with powerlifters on their training and nutrition. For a long period of time, I was one of the only people that could do your nutrition and your training and actually coach you in a game day fashion, the entire process from start to finish in the entire world. That was my niche. And even more specifically, a lot of the times I was working with masters athletes, so athletes over the age of 40 that wanted help with their nutrition to make weight for the competition, as well as their training and being coached. And just as a quick side note here, working with masters athletes is super smart. You're working with athletes that want to compete at a higher level, so it's still performance based, but we're talking about people with established careers and jobs. So they typically have a bit more money to pay for your services. So for me, you're not working with collegiate athletes that you kind of have to convince to pay for your services. This is a really smart business move. But at this point back in 2017, 2018, I was probably working with 30 to 40 powerlifting and nutrition clients. And this was my niche. I was competing in powerlifting and I was coaching powerlifting athletes. Not sure you knew this, but back in 2017, I competed at the IPF World Equipped Powerlifting Championships in Pilsen, Czech Republic. You can actually see some of the footage right here. I think I finished this competition with a 265 kilo squat, 187.5 kilo bench, and a 245 kilogram deadlift in my first world championship. It was a fantastic experience and I really enjoyed competing at this level, although I will say I'm a much better coach. I've also been the head coach for the Canadian powerlifting team, coaching at the Classic World Championships 3 years in a row, Killeen, Texas, in Minsk, Belarus, as well as on home turf in Calgary, Canada in 2018. But that's enough for me. Let me show you how I'm working with these powerlifting and nutrition clients heading into competition. My client Amber competed in a local meet a few weeks ago, so I wanted to show you how things change when you're working with a powerlifting and nutrition client heading into a competition. Things are a little bit different. Powerlifting is a weight class sport, so obviously we got to keep tabs on the way the scale looks heading into the meet. Typically Amber checks in with me on a Monday. Her competition was on a Saturday, so I gave her some feedback at the beginning of the week around how the week should progress, but I also touched base with her on Thursday and on Friday to get a sense of where her scale weight was and if any adjustments needed to be made. As you'll see here, this is the week going into the competition. I'm going to set her attempt selection, warm-ups based on some of these last heavy lifts. These are all videos attached from her training. We talked about with Shauna, indicating, what lifts I want to see in the red text. She takes videos of these, passes them along. One thing you do want to do with your training clients in an online capacity is, since you're not in person, you can't always see things from all angles. So you do want to ask them through time to take things from different angles because it'll look different from the side, that type of stuff. But here's some of the training that I have from her, and I'm going to use this information to assess how things are looking. Phenomenal squat from Amber here, 325 pound squat in the 84 kilo weight class. She's going to set a provincial record, which we're going to talk about in a second, but I'm going to use this type of feedback to assess how things are looking. I'm just getting a sense of depth, speed of all this stuff so I can set a game plan for her. Typically what I do with my online clients is I start to set up like a warm-up plan as well as attempt selection. I actually wasn't able to be there in person for Amber at this competition, so I passed along this information to her game day coach for that day, which was CPU legend Rhea Stin, which I was super happy about having Rhea step in. And then from there we set, game plan and the warm-up, so I have everything in front of me as I'm coaching these athletes in a game day scenario. Super helpful to have this stuff right in front of you. Outside of that, I'm just looking through, her check-in here, and I'm getting a sense of how does, body weight look, that type of thing. I knew for Amber specifically heading into the competition, body weight was right where it needed to be. We didn't need to make any big adjustments. If anything, I just told her heading into the competition to keep her normal food levels the same, but we take a closer look at sodium and food volume the days before the meet, and she made weight successfully and everything looked good. So this is kind of a different scenario of a client that's competing in a powerlifting competition and some of the changes that we need to be making heading into that competition the week of. Now, if you want the actual sheet that I use to coach my clients from their warm-ups and attempt selection, make sure to comment game day in the comments below and I'll get it over to you. Now, Amber was at the time the 12th female client that I've coached to over a 300-pound squat. Here she is squatting 150 kilos or 330 pounds, which was a provincial record, as well as a provincial deadlift record with 175.5 kilograms, nearly 386 pounds. Huge numbers from this athlete, and all because of focusing on quality training as well as nutrition. If you're a powerlifting coach watching this, you need to get on the nutrition side of things. It's going to make recovery so much better, performance so much better, filling in weight classes. It really is the most well-rounded approach and gives you so much more control over your clients' performance and training when you have the nutrition side of things down. So you need to have this in place. Now, the last client I want to tell you about to give you a better sense of how to work with online nutrition and powerlifting clients is my client Jim. Jim Jim is an equipped lifter, which means he uses supportive equipment like bench shirts and squat suits. It's super tight, but a lot of fun because he can handle heavier weights. Before the introduction of classic or raw lifting, this was powerlifting. So it's super old school and I love it. Jim is a super accomplished lifter, competing on the world stage several times. He's got a bronze medal in the deadlift from the 2021 World Championships in Romania. Jim has a meet here in about a week, and here are some of the things that we're doing differently for this type of client at this stage of their competition heading into the meet. So here we have some of Jim's training here. Jim's got a competition in 2 weeks time. The one thing you'll notice that's a little bit different is that there's some blank spaces here. As a client actually approaches a competition, a powerlifting competition, sometimes what I'll do differently is the peak, or our push to hit the highest numbers possible on the platform. We don't exactly know what's there like a month out, that type of thing. We're kind of figuring that out as we go and realizing what his true strength is. So I don't always write it a month at a time like I do like some of those far out volume blocks. I'll make changes to his program and write things in week by week. So that's what I'm doing, which also means that Jim's got to get his check-in in on time, early enough for me to write the future week of training. Even actually, as I brought this up here, I started freaking out a little bit because I thought I had forgot. I didn't. Some things that you do to keep organized in terms of lists of clients. As you check in with them, you cross their name out, that type of thing. That's how I run my business and kept things organized and kept on top of things. But for a client like Jim heading into a competition, I'm going to write this all week by week. He's an equipped lifter, so there's some other variables in play here. He's got a competition. His equipment's got to fit. He can't just cut a bunch of weight. So we're keeping tabs on that type of stuff because he's got those tight fitting shirts and suits that need to fit him a certain way. So being dramatically different the day of isn't going to help his performance. So we need to keep tabs on that. But this is what I'm doing with a client heading into a competition like that. And the timing of his check-ins are crucial. It's got to be on time so that I can turn around things in a day and make sure he has the right training moving forward. And that's how things look like for a client like this. Today I showed you how to work with powerlifting and nutrition clients. It's been the foundation of my business for so long, so I wanted to show you how to do it. So I hope you found some helpful stuff in the video. And if you do want that warm-up and attempt selection sheet, make sure to comment game day in the comments below and I'll get it over to you. Now, as great as all those tips are, if you're really serious about starting a nutrition coaching business, a business that has powerlifting involved as well, I want you to check out this video I've linked up right here. Today we learned about coaching in powerlifting. The next thing you're going to want to check out is everything you need to know about weight cutting. So check it out right here and I'll see you in the next video.